Hi everyone, it's Darrah Steffen and I'm back this month because I am sharing with you the first chapter of my standalone historical fantasy romance, Feral. So this is the first chapter of Feral. Feral, Part 1, Chapter 1, Alea. This is a story that must be told, under any circumstances. Many people have tried to discourage me from writing it all down. Several people have stood in my way. I will not let that happen again. People fear my story. They fear me. They think, no, they want this story to be a lie. People close to me have even told me I'm insane. Believe me, I know that what you are about to read is delving into the occult. It is so far into the magical that people who have witnessed it happen scarcely believe it. Now, it is likely you won't believe me because of what they have said about me, but at least it is out there. At least it's being told. It's hard to tell where it starts. I've tried for so long to block so much out. I hope as I write I'll remember, but as I start, I do not know where to begin. Does it start with my birth? Or when I met the woman? Or does it really begin when he arrives? It might not matter. I'll start in the very early time. It may explain how I got into the sea of problems. Every chapter of my life is an inner story. To fully understand my life, I have to tell each part. It's hard to comprehend sometimes, even for me. I'll begin with the doll. It was Christmas time. That year we got so much snow, more than I remember getting before. It may have just been the usual amount, but you know how memories can be a fickle thing. I remember the snow dropping over London like a blanket. The Thames froze over. I was 5 years old. Our Christmas tree was setting in our living room across from the fireplace. The house smelled of pine and cinnamon. My mother and father indulged my every wish. We were happy. Many people praised my father for his shrewd business mind. I called it his sixth sense. He said it was his gut, but I think it was something more. He seemed to know, without a doubt, when something was good or bad. This made him vital to the noblemen in London. My father was a merchant. His ships had a way of sailing into good weather, no matter the season. We lived much better than we should have. My father was able to give my mother the life she thought she deserved. Looking back, my parents spoiled me. That was how the whole thing started. More than anything, I wanted a doll for Christmas. My father and I walked along the storefronts. The storefronts were dressed up for the holiday. Tinsel and ribbons were strung in the store. Toys were set up in displays. St. Nicholas visited every store. Christmas was the best time of year. One caught my eye. It was a small shop, one I hadn't noticed before. The glass was dingy. My mother would have turned up her nose at such a place, but something about the window caught my eye. The display wasn't particularly fancy. There were a few candles in the window with pine dressed along the ledge. Sitting nestled in a small sleigh was a doll. She had curly red hair. Her eyes were so green that it reminded me of the forest behind her small stone cottage where we summered. She was dressed in a flowing, deep green dress with white lace. I stopped, my hand pulling out of my father's. He stopped and looked back at me. "Are you coming, Alea?" I was so engrossed in the doll. "Daddy, for Christmas? Get me that!" He walked to my side. Together we stared at the doll. My father said, "Would you look at that? It's a miniature you! Maybe St. Nicholas will bring it to you." I grinned. This doll was special. She was my twin. I could tell she wanted to be mine as much as I wanted her. I had even chosen a name for her. For the next couple weeks, all I could talk about was that doll. I had my nanny take me to visit it in the storefront. I wanted it more than anything. Little did I know how much trouble it would cause me. I bounded down the steps when I woke up to the bells. It was still night. I could see the fire was glowing dimly. Under the trees were brightly wrapped packages. I giggled to myself. Still laughing, I ran back up to the stairs where my parents were sleeping. I leapt onto the bed. I simply could not wait. My mother groaned and covered her head with the blanket. "Go back to bed. They will still be there when the sun comes up." My lip trembled. My father wrapped his arms around me before I could start whining. "Let's go see if St. Nick came." I said, "He did, Daddy. I heard the bells. They were outside my window. I heard them." He winked at me. "All right, let's get your mother and see what he brought you." We had to coax my mother and promise her special treats during Christmas dinner, but finally she came out of bed. All three of us went down to the stairs and into the parlor. I tore through the packages. I don't remember what I got. I just remember the ever-growing disappointment as I waited to find the doll. When all the presents were opened, I was ready to cry. My parents hadn't got me the doll. My mother smiled. She walked to the closet and pulled out one more box wrapped in bright ribbon. I jumped. It was a long box, just the right size for a doll. I tried not to bounce as my parents handed me. My father helped me hold it. Slowly, I opened the lid. I was so nervous, I kept my eyes squeezed shut. My father said, "Open your eyes, sweetheart." When I opened them, Kate stared back. I jumped up, knocking the box from my father's hands. He rescued the doll and handed it to me. I held her tightly in a hug. They had gotten me the doll. This was the best day of my life. My father opened his arms, and I ran up and hugged my parents. Kate was sandwiched between me and my father. Her porcelain skin touched his arm. He jerked away as if he had been cut. A strange look crossed his face. He looked at Kate suspiciously and touched the doll's face. I didn't know what was going on. My father's face went blank. My mother looked at my father concerned. He said, "Alea, give me that doll." I looked at Kate. I heard her whisper to me, her lips not moving. "Alea, you must help me." I stared at her surprised. "No, she's mine." My doll said, "Please, you must help me. Don't let him take me." My father said, "Give her to me now." I asked, "Why?" My father said something, but I wasn't listening, nor talking to him. Kate did not answer. I ran my fingers down her hair and cut myself on the hair ornament that was hidden beneath her curls. Kate laughed. Her dainty voice cracked. "Blood. She has drawn blood." Father demanded, "Now!" The tenor of his voice scared me. I didn't know what to do. Father looked at my face, and I'm not sure what look I had on my face. My father scoffed and walked towards me. I cowered behind Kate. He grabbed the doll from my hands. I held on to her. He yelled, "Give her to me, Alea!" I started to cry. I did not understand why he was taking my doll. It was my Christmas present, my toy. He wrenched Kate from my hands. He took her into his office. When he came back out, she was nowhere in sight. He walked straight at me. I curled into the ball, still crying. He grabbed my shoulders and shook me. He said sternly, "Look at me." I refused and continued to cry. "Look at me." I peeked up from the corner of my eye. He said sternly, "You must not go looking for that doll, Alea. Look at me." I squeezed my eyes closed again. The tears continued to fall down my face. I did not want to look at him. His auburn eyes looked like fire. They always did when he was mad. He shook me again gently. I looked up at him. He said, "Promise me you will not go looking for that cursed doll." I did not want to promise. She was my doll. She had asked for help. My father said, "Alea Elizabeth, promise me." I nodded my consent. That was the last I heard or saw of the doll for 3 years. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. That's just a preview of what's to come in the story. I think you can tell that the doll has some interesting implications for where the story is going to go. So I hope you're interested. I'm excited to get that out there. I'm going through some rewrites and edits right now, and I hope to get that out to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.